Okay,
Okay, let me know when we're recording.
we are.
We're recording, okay. Good morning, everyone. Today is Wednesday, June 22nd, 2022, and we'd like to welcome everyone to the board meeting. We'll call this meeting to order at 9:00 a.m. sharp. You can join today's board meeting via phone, dial 971-254-3149, conference ID 736-023-979#. Audio capabilities are listen only and are offered on a best effort for the public. Our meeting is also live streamed, and you can join us by going online to tctvonline.com and click on live broadcasts. Before we get started, I'd like to remind everyone to please mute your phones. You can do this by pressing *6. Please unmute your phone when your agenda item is ready to be discussed. For those joining via computer, please unmute your microphone and turn on your camera when your agenda item is called. All others must remain muted with their cameras turned off. Thank you. So public comment. Those intending to provide public comment to the board may attend in person or email submissions to publiccomments@co.or.us. Public comments received by 12 p.m. on Tuesday will be distributed to the board, posted online before the meeting, and become part of the public record.
It's on an agenda.
You may also provide public comment virtually by registering ahead of time. To register, please email publiccomments@co.tillamook.or.us by 12 p.m. on the Tuesday prior to the board meeting. Public comments can also be mailed to the Board of Commissioners Office, 201 Laurel Avenue, Tillamook, Oregon,
Number,
97141.
is it the budget?
For more information on public comment options, please visit the Board of Commissioners webpage. So, we have someone signing up for public comment as we speak in the back of
Are
the
you
room.
just representing yourself?
Isabel, do we
No, I
have
couldn't get
anyone
anybody.
online
The people-
virtually that
okay.
wants to submit public comments?
We did not.
We do have 2 people in the room. Perfect. Thank you so much. So, we'll get to public comments in just a moment. I want to welcome everyone. Please sign in to on our guest list. Let's start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Commissioner Carr, would you lead us, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, so we do not have anyone online that wishes to provide public comment. We do have 2 people in the room. So let's call up Tilda Jones. Tilda, would you like to make a comment, please?
Yeah, I have some extra time, please.
How much time are you thinking about, Tilda?
Maximum 5 minutes.
Maximum 5 minutes. We normally go 2 minutes.
Correct. That's why I asked for more time, please.
We're going to hold you to 5 minutes.
Okay.
Thank you.
The United States, I'm Tilda Jones from the Tunnel Bay Flood Improvement District, and good morning, commissioners. The United, I'm trying to save my 5 minutes. The United States of America is the most successful country in the world because of the emphasis on the individual. Each person matters. Each business matters. We have a photo of the Western Royal Inn on North Main, City of Tillamook, during the flood of October 2017. The county employee that is important to the public is Gordon McCraw. Gordon is the only county employee. He's important to us because he tells us ahead of time when an event is coming, such as the flood. He walks us through the flood, and then he analyzes it afterwards. So the analysis of the Western Royal flood in 2017, Gordon was able to watch the Wilson River, and when it gets to a certain point, he tells us, and the Western Royal is alerted and they can get the cars and the people, their guests that are staying at the hotel, they can get them out of there in time. There are other people in the floodplain that have to be evacuated too, employees, customers, visitors, tourists. So we're emphasizing the importance of Gordon McCraw's continuation as a portable employee for the county of Tillamook. Our district is in partnership with the county to keep the river gauges operational. Oregon Emergency Management is in partnership with the county to keep, to pay for half of Gordon's salary. At the budget committee, the committee was given the false information, given the wrong information regarding Gordon's employment with, and his salary, half of his salary being paid by the state of Oregon. And Oregon Emergency Management has confirmed that they will continue to pay half of his salary. And our Tillamook Bay Flood Improvement District is committed to continuing to contribute to the operation of the flood gauges. So I'm here for the Tillamook Bay Flood Improvement District this morning to emphasize the value of Gordon McCraw. He's the only one with the expertise, the weather expertise, the flood expertise to minimize flood damages, protect property and lives.
Thank you, Hilda. And thanks for bringing this picture. It's really a dramatic picture.
So we've got one other public comment from Peggy Schumann. Peggy? If you could give us your name and area of residence, and your item is also on the budget item.
Yeah, hi, Peggy Schumann, citizen of Wheeler. I'm kind of here to be schooled also, you know, I'm open, because, I would have been here sooner, but honestly, I've been building fences and cameras, putting up lights. I want to know how we can get a measure on the next ballot for more funding for our police. And is it possible, you know, how do we start? What do we do? Maybe you guys could email me later on this. I really think it needs to happen. When I invited an officer, a sheriff, to our picnic that we had to find out more about safety, you know, when he left, he had to go and cook for the inmates. That, we gotta find more money to, like, make, my sheriff shouldn't be wiping their noses after he arrests them. You know, that's just how I feel about it. Is there a temporary service that can be called for our sheriff in the future? Where, they've already been background checked enough to come and cook for these people? You know, I'm open to ideas, help me out, you know, then, you know, better pay. How do we get police out of the main budget and into their own little, I don't even know how to describe it. Like I said, I'm here to be schooled by you, you know, and a future email would be grand. People are dying in North County. There was a death 2 days ago from a drug overdose, you know, and the whole town watched. Somehow, we gotta not be the lowest paid in the state anymore. It's killing us. It's killing our people. So, help me help you get something better on the budget for our police officers. You know, they're stretched so thin, we can't hire anybody because we're the lowest paid people. Who wants to come to a county where we can't even house them after we pay them? I'm willing to house them. I just got done putting up fences and cameras and lights for an apartment building that I can't get off the ground because I keep getting robbed. You know? We need help. It's community-wide in the Pacific Cities Neighborhood Watch. And beginning one up north. And, you know, I just really I wanna help make an answer to this. I wanna find a way to make them, to make our police officers, they love their job. I watch them work. I've got half their phone numbers in my phone on direct dial. They're the best people in the world. We've got the best cops ever, all the way up and down. They're conscientious, they're nice to us. They care with all their hearts, they're citizens of our community. I think that's all I have to say, but help me get something going on this. It's important to the health of our people. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, Peggy.
Thanks for being here.
I just need to say, Peggy, that public comment is just that we normally don't respond to public comment.
Okay, so should I send an email to all of you?
That'd be perfect.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay, moving on, our legislative administrative agenda, item number 5, discussion and consideration of an Oregon Health Authority Sustainable Relationships for Community Health Grant application. And with us online, I'm hoping we have Marlene Putman, Director of Health and Human Services. Good morning, Marlene. And there you are. But you're frozen. Oh, no, there you go.
It's working?
Yes, it is. And we can hear you.
Okay. Wonderful.
Perfect.
I didn't realize how small that space was until I see you sitting in there.
So what if I told you this was going to be our permanent Board of Commissioners meeting? What do you think?
It can work.
Now, that agenda item is coming up, as a matter of fact, so please go ahead.
Yes, so this item relates to an Oregon Health Authority grant application. As indicated in the title, it's Sustainable Relationships for Community Health Grant application. The abbreviation is SEARCH grant. It may sound familiar because we've received and applied for these grants over the past 2 years. We're applying for funding this year of approximately $22,000 to implement a community health worker in the clinical portion of our services to outreach to clients and community members who may be struggling with access to care or managing a chronic condition. The past 2 years have been around developing the framework, working with partners, figuring out job descriptions, some of which you have seen and approved and actually placed on the pay table. So this year we're looking for the approval for applying for $22,000 to begin implementing that through the health center as described in the clinical setting.
Okay. Very good. Questions, comments?
Just a comment, community health workers are a very valuable resource and tool. As we are looking at the shortages that we have in our medical field and really working for how can we be creative to make sure that people are getting the service they need. Oftentimes what we need for someone is we just need to check in with them. Sometimes maybe they need a blood pressure check, something that doesn't require a full medical doctor or nurse to see them. And community health workers can be trained to do some of these very basic things. And I think with the diabetes program that we're talking about, that's a piece of it, right, is meeting with folks who are working on their diabetes and just checking in with them. How's it going? How is your blood sugars working? How's the A1C? What's happening for you? And giving them some support from someone who is not a nurse or a doctor and that we're not really struggling to have the time for. So I think this is a great opportunity for us to have a community health worker to just really augment our medical services. So I'm excited for this grant.
I ditto everything Commissioner Scar just said. I think it's a wonderful opportunity and a great service.
Yeah, especially considering diabetes. I mean, it's just a horrible disease. Can be well controlled, but people need to make sure that they're seeing their healthcare professionals. Make sure it is under control. If it's out of control, it can lead to very, very serious health concerns. So I'm fully in support of this.
And I think to Commissioner Scar's point that most of us have had the experience of trying to change something. When you start a change, you try to change, and if there isn't any support or accountability, it's easy
easy to drift away from the change. And it can be really helpful to have somebody check in with you and say, how's it going? How are you doing on this?
Agreed.
Okay.
Looking for a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move approval of an Oregon Health Authority Sustainable Relationships for Community Health Grant application.
And I would second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call to the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Moving on to item number 6. And thank you, Marlene.
Thank you.
Appreciate everything you're doing. Discussion and consideration of an administrative services agreement with Tillamook Family Counseling Center, Inc. for fulfillment of the Criminal Justice Commission Specialty Court Grant and Innovation Grant for Tillamook County Behavioral Health Court. And with us this morning, we've got Frank Hanna Williams, Director, Tillamook Family Counseling Center. Good morning, Frank. Are you there?
Good morning, Commissioner. How are you?
Yes, good morning.
I am here to just talk briefly about Tillamook Behavioral Health Court, and this is kind of this is very much connected with the Criminal Justice Commission Specialty Court Grant Program. That is really designed to financially support Oregon specialty courts. Specialty courts are really designed to address behavioral health concerns that are related to criminal activity by offering non-violent offenders an alternative to incarceration. Tillamook Family Counseling Center, in partnership with the county courts, and Tillamook County Corrections, is involved with. There are 2 grants from the Criminal Justice Commission, and those grants provide some support for the assignment of behavioral health clinicians to work with Tillamook County Corrections, and to also be able to provide some supplies for some of the activities that relate to supporting individuals who are assigned to behavioral health court. So this really is about supporting what is considered in Oregon to be best practices in relation to serving individuals with criminal activity and nonviolent offenders. And these funds, which really amounts to a little over $50,000 during this period of time between the 21 and 23, this ends June of 23, allows for that process. And I request your approval.
Thank you, Frank. Comments, questions?
So I sit on the Behavioral Health Court Steering Committee, I think is the right term for that. And Behavioral Health Court is a really wonderful addition to our systems here in Tillamook County. You know, we've all known people that have been in and out of jail for criminality related to behavioral health concerns. And by simply locking them up and setting them free and locking them up and setting them free, we have a cycle that just continues. And Behavioral Health Court recognizes that there's additional supports that they need in order to change that pattern for themselves, and it provides those supports through the court setting, which is it's just an amazing opportunity in our community. And we've had quite a few folks who have graduated from Behavioral Health Court and have not returned to jail, and that's what we're looking for. And these grants are really important, and the role of Tillamook Family Counseling in this work is extremely important. They have a peer support specialist as well as a full clinician that support this program, and that's the key piece in many cases to helping folks change that behavior, is getting them the support that they need. So I absolutely in support of this. It's an excellent resource in our community.
Oh, I agree, and it's relatively new. It's new since I have been in office, and I think it's widely supported, and I'm glad to hear that it's successful, and I agree completely that it's not appropriate to incarcerate nonviolent offenders whose real issue is mental illness. So I'm really glad that we're developing an alternative.
And I agree with you both. And this is a new program, and since its inception, DA Bill Porter and our circuit court judges have all said that this is working very, very well for Tillamook County.
Yes.
So I think it's absolutely something we want to continue to support. So I think we're looking for a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move approval of an administrative services agreement with Tillamook Family Counseling Center, Inc. for fulfillment of the Criminal Justice Commission Specialty Court Grant and Innovation Grant for the Tillamook County Behavioral Health Court.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you, Frank.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Item number 7, discussion and consideration of a Managing Oregon Resources Efficiently, MORE, intergovernmental agreement with Marion County for resources and services. And with us, we've got Chris Lady, Director of Public Works. Good morning, Chris. Hey, look at that. Look at what is that behind you, Chris?
We can't hear you.
I think you've frozen. Oh, there you go.
This is my typical Christmas tree background. What it allows this managing Oregon resources more efficiently is Oregon government entities can enter into this agreement, of which we were one of the original ones, that allows us to use each other's equipment, sell equipment directly, get services from. An example of that is the bulldozer we sold to Wasco County. They had a need, we had surplus, we sold it to them directly. We did not have to go out for auction on that. And then we did that because of the MORE agreement. The other example of the use of this agreement is Marion County comes and paints our roads every year. They do the striping of our roads. And that allows us to contract with them directly. They know our roads, they have the equipment. And part of their budget is set up, their system program is set up to do a number of counties and cities, and that's what helps them pay for their equipment. They would not be able to do that without these type of agreements in place. So what this does is updates the signature lines for the, the point of contacts. The IGA overseer is myself, and then the second agency contact in this case would be Nicole Baldwin, who is Jeanette's replacement. Anything official signature still needs to come to the board, such as what we've done with the Wasco County that bulldozer. So this really provides that point of contact at the county level. One thing I did want to note too, and I'll reach out to Randy, our emergency service, our emergency manager, Randy Thorpe, is that this also applies to the emergency room as well. So this IGA could be used for him. You may not be aware of that.
Perfect. Thank you. Comments, questions?
Thank you, Chris. I think that's great. I appreciate the efficiency of it. You know, it's built into the title, Managing Oregon Resources Efficiently, that it doesn't have to go out for bid, and it doesn't have to go to an auction, that you can work with other agencies to figure out who has what and who needs what. And I know that we have been able to take advantage of that. Tillamook County has been able to take advantage of things that other municipalities and counties had in surplus that we needed. So I think it's great.
Yeah, I'm fully in support.
As am I. And again, Chris, thanks for bringing this to us. I think we're looking for a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move approval of a Managing Oregon Resources Efficiently intergovernmental agreement with Marion County for resources and services.
I second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you, Chris. Item number 8, discussion and consideration of an order in the matter of adding fees and charges collected by the Tillamook County Surveyor. And with us, we have our County Surveyor, Mike Rice. Good morning, Mike.
Good morning, Commissioners. Can you hear me clearly?
Yes,
Yes.
perfect.
So before you is a proposal for additional fee for multiple reviews, and that's of surveys and plats. The order states that when a submitted survey or plat is not in accordance with ORS 209-250 or Chapter 92 requirements, then additional review fee shall apply. So after 2 reviews of the original submitted survey or plat, we review, redline, return to the surveyor. Any additional reviews after that would be 50% of the original amount. That's basically to help compensate the surveyor's department for multiple non-compliance and reviews.
Makes perfect sense to me. Questions, comments?
No, I support this.
No, I support it as well.
I appreciate you looking at your fee schedules and adding fees that need to be added because your personnel are working so much more on these individual projects, and it absolutely makes sense. I think we're looking for a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move approval of an order in the matter of adding fees and charges collected by the Tillamook County Surveyor.
And I second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion passes. Thank you, Mike.
Thanks for your time.
Item number 9, discussion and consideration of an order in the matter of an appeal of the Planning Commission's decision to approve conditional use request number 851-21-000-416 PLNG to establish a 19-site recreational campground on an approximately 18-acre portion of a 58.51 acre parcel. The subject property is accessed via Floyd Avenue, a county local access road, and is designated as tax lot 600 of section 6, township 4 south, range 10 west of the Willamette Meridian, Tillamook County, Oregon. The property owner and applicant is Oregon Treehouse Partners, LLC. The appellant is Lisa Macy Baker and Melissa Yank, Senior Planner, Department of Community Development. And I see Melissa online. Good morning.
Good morning, Commissioners. Can you hear me?
Yes, we hear you fine.
Good morning. Thank you so much for hearing me this morning. Today before you, I will not go in length as Sherry Almodo declared what we're discussing today. This is the board order for the decision making that you all made on June 1st. We came before you with an appeals hearing for the Oregon Treehouse Partners conditional use request. This was appealed from a unanimous approval that was granted by the Planning Commission, which was appealed to your body. On June 1st, you did make the decision to uphold the Planning Commission's decision and deny the appeal request. The board order is prepared with those findings and conclusions that you stated in your hearing, and it's just here today for your signature.
Perfect. Yeah, so it came before the commissioners twice, right?
3 times, technically.
Okay. Perfect. And again, the Planning Commission did approve this unanimously also. Discussion, questions?
I don't have discussion because, as Ms. Yank just said, we have made this decision formally on June 1st, and this is us essentially voting on the decision we've already made.
Moving forward with the paperwork. Great.
Agreed.
So with that, I think we're looking for a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move approval of an order in the matter of an appeal of the Planning Commission's decision to approve conditional use request number 851-21-000-416-PLNG to establish a 19-site recreational campground on an approximately 18-acre portion of a 58.51 acre parcel. The subject property is accessed via Floyd Avenue, a county local access road, and is designated as tax lot 600 of section 6, township 4 south, range 10 west of the Willamette Meridian, Tillamook County, Oregon. The property owner and applicant is Oregon Treehouse Partners, LLC. The appellant is Lisa Macy Baker.
And I would second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion passes. Thank you, Melissa.
Thank you.
Item number 10, discussion and consideration of an out-of-state travel authorization for Jessica Moran to attend the Association of Bookmobile and Outreach Services Conference in Scottsdale, Arizona, October 3rd, 22 to October 7th, 22. And with us this morning, we've got Interim Library Director Bill Landau. Good morning, Bill.
I wasn't able to confirm with Bill that he was attending, so
Okay.
we may have to postpone, or unless my favorite.
Actually, I think Commissioner Bell could carry this as liaison to the library. That'd be perfect.
Yes, I can. Bill has talked to me about this, Interim Director Bill Landau. They would like to be able to send Jessica Moran, who is our bookmobile librarian, to the Association of Bookmobile and Outreach Services Conference. And I'm supportive. We haven't gone to, county employees haven't gone to out-of-state conferences or in-person conferences for some time because of COVID, and so it'll be nice to start providing that opportunities for training again.
Yeah, I'm in agreement.
Perfect. Looking for a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move approval of an out-of-state travel authorization for Jessica Moran to attend the Association of Bookmobile and Outreach Services Conference in Scottsdale, Arizona, October 3rd, 2022 through October 7th, 2022.
And I second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you for carrying that, Commissioner.
Certainly.
Item number 11, discussion and consideration of an order in the matter of declaring county-owned property as surplus. And with us this morning, we've got Interim Director, Information Services, Jeff Underwood. Good morning, Jeff.
Good morning, Commissioners. The item before you this morning is just a request to surplus off our old Expedition vehicle, which we have squeezed every last bit of life out of it.
I was interested when I saw this on the agenda. Normally when I come downstairs, normally it's all stacked neatly along the hallway, but I didn't see anything there, so I was wondering what this was about. That makes sense. So you didn't want to bring that vehicle into the hallway, huh?
I tried, and we just couldn't get it.
Perfect. Questions, comments?
No. There's a point in time which vehicles simply become of no value to us in terms of their reliability and so forth, become, cost more to fix than it does the use we get out of them. So I am in support of letting this one go.
Looking for a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move approval of an order in the matter of declaring county-owned property as surplus.
I second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Item number 12, discussion and consideration of a personnel requisition for a new regular full-time human resources manager in the Human Resources Department. And carrying this one for us this morning is Commissioner Mary Faith Bell. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you. Well, this is coming before us because it's a new position. We've never had it before. And the reasoning is that we have currently our HR manager, or director, is Erin Frost. She's employed by HR Annie, and we're contracting with HR Annie for her services. And we think Erin is fabulous. She's doing an amazing job. When we appointed Erin as director, the reason was because we've had a couple of failed recruitments for HR director. And so we were without an HR director, and Erin was our interim, and she was doing a great job. And at some point, it occurred to us, we already have the person that we want, and so we just made her HR director. And when we made that decision, the idea was that we would work with Erin via HR Annie until it seemed like the pool of applicants had opened up, until things changed and we might get an applicant who we could hire for that position. So it seems like that's possible, but just this position that we're voting on today is really a matter of having more options, of hedging our bets, so to speak, because we have opened up the recruitment for HR director, and we're also opening up concurrently this recruitment for HR manager in case we get an applicant who's not qualified to be director, but who is qualified to be a manager, who could take on more responsibility here, and then we could lessen the hours that we work with Erin Frost. So this is going to be an either or and not both, but we have to vote on it because the position didn't exist previously.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah,
Questions?
no, I'm in agreement. We're doing this in many of our departments. In this really difficult time to hire, we are looking at just, changing the criteria somewhat and seeing if we can find someone who can do the job, but maybe has a slightly different set of background expertise, qualifications, and meeting the applicant pool where they are, I guess is what I would say. And having HR Annie available to us gives us some real flexibility in a case like this. If we find someone, as Commissioner Bell stated, who's just not quite ready to be a director but has the skills for the manager, and we can sort of grow our own director in-house starting as a manager, and with that role keeping HR Annie with some hours to support that person until they've grown into that role. It's a fabulous opportunity for us. So the hiring pool is limited. Times are tough. We have to do some kind of creative things, and I appreciate the creative thinking on this one.
And I would concur with that. So one or the other we need to try to find someone that's capable, so that'd be great. Okay, looking for a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move approval of a personnel requisition for a new regular full-time human resources manager in the Human Resources Department.
I second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion passes. Well, look, we've got Bill Landau on with us. Hi, Bill. I think we've already discussed your agenda item, but that's quite all right. Commissioner Bill handled it for you.
We approved Jessica's request to go out of state.
Thank you, Bill. Okay, item number 13, discussion and consideration of a letter of commitment for the Tides of Change community-wide sexual assault nurse examiner SANE expansion proposal. And again, carrying this, Commissioner Mary Faith Bell. Good morning.
Good morning. So this is a us indicating our support of a grant application that Tides of Change will submit, in which all of the local healthcare providers will participate if we get the grant. And so Tillamook County Community Health Centers has committed to supporting this proposal, this idea. And basically the backstory is that SANE is an acronym for Sexual Assault Nurse Examiner. And what a SANE nurse does is the forensic work when someone's been sexually assaulted. So if someone is sexually assaulted and they go to the hospital, they'll get all the medical care that they need, but they won't get the forensic care. They won't get the examination that enables the police to build a case, for example. And so that a SANE nurse does that work, and they also act as a navigator for the victim through the system, and they may be called upon to testify in court. So it's an extremely important service, and unfortunately, Tillamook County does not have any SANE nurses currently. We haven't had any SANE nurses for adult victims for a couple of years, and we now don't have any SANE nurses for pediatric victims. So everyone is horrified by that. So we have built this coalition of community healthcare providers who are coming together looking at how can we come at this from a different angle. And so the idea is to build a team where all of the healthcare providers in the community participate in trying to recruit people and providing the platform for a service that would be RNs who are employed via Tillamook County Community Health Centers or Adventist Health or Reinhardt, etc. And so there's a small pool of nurses who become trained to be SANEs, and then they could work on a rotating basis answering these calls and serving victims in our community. So that's the proposal. Everybody's invested, committed in the idea of it. This would be a grant that would get the program up off the ground. And so the Tides of Change would be the grant manager, and I'm pleased that Tillamook County Community Health Centers is committed to the idea and supporting the program as it gets off the ground, and we are committed as well. And so that's what this is. We're very hopeful. And I just want to say that there's no blame to be assessed, that absolutely every healthcare provider is desperately short of RNs. So it's one reason that I'm super excited that voters passed the TVCC building program so that we can train nurses here, we can educate and train nurses here. So that every single, I think if possible, Tillamook County Community Health Centers only has one nurse right now. I think that's what Rocky and Marlene told me. So every single healthcare provider is suffering a severe shortage of nursing staff. And what's happening is that for providers like Adventist Health that absolutely have to have nurses, they're working with traveling nurses, they're working with contract nurses, so they don't have local full-time employees working in the emergency department. They have travelers working in the emergency department, and contract nurses working in the emergency department who aren't committed to a program like this because they're traveling, they're not based here. So really that's the essence of the problem is recruitment, and we hope that this will be this concerted partnership will help us set something up that'll be successful in the hopefully near future.
Yeah, thank you, Commissioner Bell. It's a very thorough and fabulous description, and I'm super excited that our community is doing what we do in Tillamook, which is coming together to find a new way to solve a problem. And I just really appreciate all of the partners that are willing to come to the table and stretch what they do and figure out how they can be a part of the solution. And you all have heard me talk forever about domestic and sexual violence and the need to hold offenders accountable. And one of the key things that's needed to hold offenders accountable in a sexual assault is the information that's gained from this forensic examination that Commissioner Bell is talking about. So this is important on so many fronts, and particularly when you look at the number of sexual assault victims who are children. I mean, it is a heartbreaking situation that we wouldn't have any way to hold an offender accountable because we wouldn't have the evidence we need. So this is extremely important for our community.
And I agree. This is another example of multiple agencies coming together. Tides of Change can't do this on their own. Tillamook County Community Health Centers cannot do this on their own. Of course, Tillamook County Board of Commissioners can't do this at all. But coming together and looking for these grant opportunities, I think is terrific. It is. So with that, I think we're looking for a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move approval of a letter of commitment for the Tides of Change community-wide sexual assault nurse examiner expansion proposal.
A second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Thank you, Commissioner. Item number 14, discussion and consideration of a personal services agreement with Brooke Wintergreen for South County Program and Project Management. With us this morning, we've got Board of Commissioner Chief of Staff Rachel Haggerty. Good morning, Rachel.
Good morning. Visit Tillamook Coast hired Ms. Wintergreen about a year and a half ago with the primary purpose of focusing and assisting the county in its efforts in Pacific City and which is now the Quanah Corridor Project, as well as some larger destination management marketing for visitors that are coming in and how to move around the area. The role over time, because of her skill set, evolved into assisting Visit Tillamook Coast in a broader team countywide. And so the work was paid to Visit Tillamook Coast through transient lodging tax dollars as well as the parking fees in Pacific City. So she has come into a situation where her availability needs to decrease and focus just on the county projects, and accordingly, the Tillamook Coast feels that in that scenario, it's best if Ms. Wintergreen is no longer an employee of Visit Tillamook Coast, but is under the county. And so before you today is consideration of a personal services contract for the county to hire Ms. Wintergreen to focus on efforts in Cape Kiwanis, as well as assisting with our efforts in the Cloverdale, Hilo, and Beaver Plain, which is kind of a spin-off of the Cloverdale Wayside, which will go back to the Cloverdale Wayside. So the contract is a one-year contract in the amount of $45,600 with additional pocket expenses reimbursed, and this will be paid out solely out of the Fund 133 funds.
Questions, comments?
I know that working with Brooke has been great for us and very helpful to you, and I'm totally supportive. I'm wondering how many hours does she want to work, or how many hours does this afford us?
I think it averages around 10 a week, and that will vary. Sometimes it might just be a couple hours, other times there'll be more. So that's an average over the year.
Okay, great.
Yeah, I just got to say, Brooke has done a terrific job working in South County. She now lives in Pacific City, which is terrific. And it's just, she's doing a great job expanding her duties maybe a little bit into the Cloverdale, Hilo projects that I know Rachel has been working on for a long time. It's going to help South County, so I appreciate that very much.
Yeah, as do I. You know, South County with no incorporated cities is the purview of the county. And so as we look to really make sure that the communities there are receiving services that they need, and we're looking at the planning and improvement as we look at tourist facilities, having Brooke on board is really important.
And I misspoke earlier, her time spent in Pacific City would be paid out of 133. The Cloverdale, Beaver, and Kiva will be paid out of the ARPA money.
Okay, yeah, that's right, perfect. Okay, good. Looking for a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move approval of a personal services agreement with Brooke Wintergreen for South County Program and Project Management.
A second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion passes. Rachel, you've got the next couple also. Item number 15, discussion and consideration of an agreement with Columbia Cascade Construction, Inc. for the courthouse interior remodeling project. This is the one we referred to earlier that we need to move along quickly, right?
One-month project.
I'm sorry. Rachel, go ahead, please.
So the county, as you know, set forth on a 3-phase project to remedy the courthouse's security and spacing needs. Phase 1 is the meeting room swap of renovating A and B, so circuit court can have court in there, and renovating former circuit courtroom 108 for the new VOC temporary meeting room, and then expansion of the Nestucca room to support jury and other circuit court needs. Phase 2 is the construction of the courthouse annex, and we're currently looking at the south courthouse lawn or the east lawn adjacent to the primary museum. And then phase 3 would contemplate further courthouse remodeling based on vacated spacing, construction of improved ADA access and sally port, etc. So we are about halfway through phase 1. We have completed the renovation of A&B, and circuit court has been operational in there for a couple of weeks. And the board has temporarily relocated here while we renovate 108. So before you today is consideration of a contract with Columbia Cascade. We signed the notice of intent to award at the end of May. Myself and council and our engineer has reviewed the contract before you. It is in the amount of $272,500. We have a pre-construction meeting on Monday to get the work going. And I also should add that the renovation costs in AV cost around $88,000, and I am awaiting an intergovernmental agreement from the Oregon Judicial Department that will reimburse us for all of those costs. So that should be coming for you shortly.
Great.
And with that, the construction's worst case supposed to take about 4 months, so we should be in there by
Next month.
fall. Yeah. You can be in there, but you like it yourself.
It might be kind of noisy and dirty.
So there's going to be a lot of noise, there's going to be a lot of disruption, parking will be taken up in the back, we'll be communicating with staff along the way, but it's going to be a big disruption in the summer.
Perfect. Questions, comments?
Well, I'm grateful to Rachel for moving this along. I think the transformation of our former meeting room to the new courtroom is outstanding. Have you seen it, Bill? Have you been there?
Yes, it's remarkable. I frankly never thought, I was involved when we all were trying to get something going with the new courtroom for Judge Hill and Judge Trevino, because courtroom 108, there are horror stories that I could relate, and I'm sure Judge Hill and Mr. Porter and his staff could too. But anyway, I was like stunned. You're really moving along. Something's really happening. So it's a terrific thing. I was pretty impressed, actually, that you've gotten this far. It's always a money issue. I guess you figured out some way to play it so that the money's going to be found somewhere, and that's great. I'm sure Judge Hill and Judge Trevino were pleased as they could be to finally move that along. They showed a lot of patience to get that done. So anyway, yes, to answer your question, I've seen the new courtroom, and it's certainly a step up. And I commented, I think, to Commissioner Scar there's a little irony there too, because as you will remember back in the day, that was the jail, and now it's kind of full circle.
So are you saying that this is a jail for us?
No, so anyway, yeah, it's a terrific thing. I'm really happy as an officer of the court. I'm sure all the other people who use those courtrooms on, on a daily basis or they have to be pleased, yes, for sure. So, yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, I agree. I think the new courtroom is fabulous. And this space is a little tight, but we're making it work. And I'm looking forward to the remodel of Courtroom 108 for our needs. It's not going to be an extensive remodel, but it's thoughtful and will make the space more usable for us. And courts have very specific security needs, and so I'm pleased and relieved for our courts that those needs are being met, and that we can get going on all the jury trials that got stacked up during COVID, and so I think that's all great, and I appreciate Rachel moving this along. So, as an aside, you might not be able to tell, but it's about 90 degrees in here right now.
Never mind.
So we're going to comment just more briefly to get ourselves out of here. With that in mind, I won't be long-winded. I'll just say ditto to what Commissioner Bell and Council Sergeant have said. It's a wonderful thing to have found a solution to a long-held problem that allows justice to be served.
And great news that the new courtroom expansion will be entirely paid for by the state. That is great news. Thank you.
So with that, I think we're looking for a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move approval of an agreement with the Columbia Cascade Construction, Inc. for the courthouse interior remodeling project.
A second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you. Rachel, you've got one more. Item number 16, discussion and consideration of a United States Army Corps of Engineers authorization for entry for the Tillamook South Jetty Repairs Project. Rachel.
A couple of weeks ago, the board approved the joint permit application to the Corps and the Tillamook County Community Development Department's planning application submitted by the Corps for you to sign as property owners. The third piece of documentation that the Corps needs signed is before you today, and then I don't think we'll be seeing anything further. So again, this is for the South Jetty project. The North Jetty repair has been completed. The South Jetty is 1,375 feet that they're looking at, expecting to start this summer and taking up to 3 years to complete. The authorization of entry for your consideration today, again, includes temporary staging area, about 3.7 acres on county property for offloading of barges to access the jetty, and then various pullouts along the ocean road for trucks to pass. So the authorization basically just authorizes the Corps to enter county property for the construction, and then upon your consideration and approval of that, enclosure 4 in your packet is an attorney certificate of title that Council Sergeant would sign as required by the Corps, which validates that the county owns the property. So there's a couple of signature sections in your packet. One is for your approval and signature, and the second and hopefully final is council signature.
Perfect. Okay, this has been a long time coming. We really have. Comments, questions?
Since it's 90 degrees, I'll keep them brief, but I need to say this has been a long time coming. It's very exciting to have the South Jetty work on the horizon at a distance we can see it, and we're still hopeful that more funding will be identified. They have funding right now to put a tow on the South Jetty as it sits to ensure no further erosion happens, and the hope is that they will find more money so they can not only stop the erosion but actually build back a larger section of the jetty. So it will be bid in such a way that both of those options are available, contingent upon the federal government finding a few more dollars.
Well, the federal government is just a couple, it's pocket change.
Pocket change for them.
It's a rounding error.
Yeah.
I was out at the jetty yesterday. I took a tour of the new North Jetty, and it looks great. It is outstanding, and really exciting for the reasons that we've already mentioned. The two jetties, repair of the two jetties has been on the priority list for easily 15 years, but maybe longer, because it's been on the priority list since I worked at the Headlight Herald, which was some time ago. And so it's thrilling that it's really happening now, and that there was a question. The funding for the North Jetty came in first, and there was a question whether or not the South Jetty funding would follow immediately or there'd be a gap. And so it's really exciting that it's following immediately, and it was interesting to be there and see the new rock and the repair to the North Jetty and compare it to the South Jetty. It makes the South Jetty look really small, and so I can picture the 1,000+ feet that Rachel was talking about. And I was wondering, Rachel, where's the staging area on county-owned property? Where will that be?
Kinchlow Point.
Okay, thank you.
And, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
So all this takes is money, and this has been, South Jetty repair has been at the top of our federal funding's priorities list for a decade or longer, maybe a decade and a half. And we kept asking, unfortunately we kept having accidents on ships coming into the bar. It's still a dangerous bar, but repair of the South Jetty is going to go a long way. What was it, $63 million or something like that?
The South Jetty?
Yes.
So they were not able to give me that information because it was still out for bid.
Oh, okay. I think that was the grant that we got from the Fed, $63 million. No. Okay. Again, all it takes is money.
That's right.
Yes. So, I think we're looking for a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move approval of the United States Army Corps of Engineers authorization for entry for the Tillamook County South Jetty Repairs Project.
A second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Item number 17, discussion and consideration of a professional services agreement with Singer Lawak. Singer Lawak? Whatever. LLP for auditing services. Sean Blanchard, County Treasurer.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Commissioners. Yeah, this is our yearly agreement with Singer Luac. They are auditor services, formerly Carlisle Smith for many years before they were purchased. The amount is for $97,800. It's about a $5,000 increase over last year, and they will be performing our 21-22 fiscal year audit for the county, 4-H, and solid waste.
So Sean, you didn't pronounce it for me, is it?
She did. Singer Luac.
Singer Luac.
Luac, thank you. I didn't hear that part. Thank you so much. Okay, questions, comments?
We have an audit every year, which is a really important function for county and our transparency. And every year, Sean and her team receive the highest marks for how our finances are managed. So no pressure, Sean, but we're expecting another one of those gold certificates for you and your team this coming year. They provide for us something that is called the CAFR, which is the Consolidated something that Sean could tell me what those letters mean. But it's a great report. It is on our website. It is available to the public. So, if you want to know anything about the county's finances, so we give you the budget at the beginning of the year, also published on the website and available. And if you're interested to know how those monies were spent, what each department actually ended up with in expenses, as well as a bit of analysis around county expenditures, all of that is available in the CAFR, Consolidated, I'll let Sean tell us what it is, the CAFR. But I have a bound copy on my desk, I love it, I look at it all the time. I'm one of those strange numbers people, but appreciate very much this contract and the product that they provide for us. And again, hope if you're someone in the county that's curious about where is the money going, that report is a fabulous tool, and I know that Sean is also available if you have questions. So.
And actually, it's not the CAFR anymore. We can't use that acronym.
Oh no!
It offended something. I can't remember what it was. So it's actually just the annual financial report. But I learned that last year.
Okay, so the annual financial report, but you can still find it on the on Sean's webpage of the county.
So that's the AFR, right?
The AFR. I don't know if it's become the AFR.
Any further comments? Looking for a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move approval of a professional services agreement with Stinger Luac
very
LLP
good.
for auditing services.
I second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion passes. Sean, you've got the next one. Oh, you've got several coming up here, actually. You've got the next one. Item number 18, discussion and consideration in order in the matter of transferring funds between budgeted line items. Sean Blanchard, treasurer.
Yes, this is my yearly data monopolizer meeting with all my transfers, orders, budgets. This is in order to transfer funds between budgeted line items per budget law. If I need to fill in a line item that's overspent in personal services, it has to come from personal services within that fund or department, or I have to bring this board order before you to transfer it from materials and services to cover an overspent line item. And you just froze.
No, we didn't.
Okay, now you're moving.
Okay, all right, okay. Got any questions, concerns?
No, I think, again, anyone who is interested in our county budget and wants to know how did we do budget to actual while you're waiting for that financial report, you can actually get a sense of some of that from the transfers that we're doing, because we are required, as Sean stated, to have it all balanced in the end. And, you know, one of the things we've talked about this year is that we have not been able to fill all of our staff positions, and we see some of that reflected here in funds that were budgeted for staff that are going to an unappropriated ending fund balance, which we are then able to use in the following year. So again, if you're just curious, this is a great way to see, you know, get a snapshot of some of the actions in our financials.
Your relationship to these reports is kind of scary, actually.
Well, you know, I think it's super important, and I think it's super important for the public, and we heard in our public comment this morning concerns about whether or not there is enough money in the state, in the county's budget to provide the services that are needed in our county. And I would suggest that that's a conversation that we are having and need to be having. You know, tax rates were set a very long time ago, and we do not have the ability to reset our tax rate. We have the revenue we have. And so levies and other tools are the very limited resources we have, which is why our library is on a levy system. It's why our veteran services are on a levy system, because there are pieces that, you know, we simply could not continue to fund out of our general fund. And we are going to have to continue to look at that. So I encourage people, become familiar with the county budget, because in the event that we are looking at moving forward with additional levies, you all are going to want to know. So begin now to familiarize yourselves. Don't hesitate to ask questions. You know, Sean is your elected treasurer and has the most in-depth knowledge of our budget. As commissioners, we also have knowledge of the budget. Don't hesitate to ask the questions. It's important. These are your tax dollars at work, and we want you to feel confident that your tax dollars are doing good work. My soapbox again, sorry, I'm very hot.
All right. No, it's an excellent point. We, you know, in addition to the library being on an operating levy and veteran services being on an operating levy, our limited property tax funding for the county is also why the Parks Department operates as a business. The Parks Department is entirely self-funded, and so do the Tillamook County Community Health Centers. So, you know, a bunch of our systems have to be self-funded because there simply isn't enough money in the general fund to fund them, which isn't a bad thing. You know, it makes for great efficiency, which I appreciate, and I think taxpayers do in general. But still, you know, we hear from people all the time about, you know, well, my tax dollars, and why do I have to pay for this day use fee for the parks, or, you know, why is my pothole being filled, etc. And roads, property taxes don't go to support roads. There's a different funding source for roads. So it's well worth investigating if you're interested.
It is. So I'm going to get on my soapbox now. Talk about timber just a little bit. I mean, that's where the vast majority of Tillamook County's money comes from. Timber revenue and related jobs, family wage, fully benefited jobs, and things that go with that. Commissioner Bell talks about public works and our roads. roads. At one point, we had amongst the best roads in the state. But that's when U.S. Forest Service was cutting a lot of timber. That's how Public Works has always been funded, through timber harvest revenue from U.S. Forest Service lands. You know, if you look at what U.S. Forest Service is doing today, they're cutting almost nothing. That's why now we're at the other end of the scale. We've got amongst the worst roads in the state. And our general fund is funded to a large extent by state forest land timber revenues. And that has been going down, and there are new proposals, an HCP that they're working on, et cetera, and I won't get into all the details there. But it has the ability to take our state forest revenue down even further. And people think, well, the state, we should be doing great. Look at all the money we get off the state forest lands. Well, again, the county itself keeps less than 20% of the state forest revenue. The other 80% goes out to special districts, we're talking schools and 911 center and just all sorts of things. And so that money, yes, it comes to the county, but Sean Blanchard, who's still up on screen, writes checks immediately when she gets that and sends that money out to all the special districts that certainly deserve that money. So there are many issues with our budget. It's very complicated, no doubt about it. So I'll stop there. So I think we're looking for a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move approval and order in the matter of transferring funds between budgeted line items.
A second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion passes. Thank you, Sean.
Thank you, Commissioners.
You need to stick around, but we do have 4 public hearings. They are all time-certain public hearings. Our first public hearing is a 10:15 a.m. time certain, time being 10:06. We have another few minutes before we can open that public hearing. So at this point, and so I'm sorry, depending on how long each one of these 4 public hearings takes, we may have a short pause between each one of them because each one is time certain. So at this point, until 10:15 a.m., we are going to pause this meeting, and we'll be back at 10:15